On, nevermore to her frail mansion any man can her lost powers restore. And therefore, since my mother queen, famed for her silver feet, told me 2 fates about my death in my direction meet, that one in my direction meet. Direction meet. The one that if I here remain to assist our victory, my safe return shall never live, my fame shall never. One that if I here remain to assist our my safe return. The one that if I in my direction meet. The one that if I here direction meet. The one that if I here remain to assist our victory, my safe return shall never live, my fame shall never die. Live, my fame shall never die. My fame shall never die. My safe return to assist our victory, my safe return shall never live, my fame shall never die. If my fame shall never die. My safe return shall never, safe return shall never live, my fame shall never die, shall never live, my fame return shall never live, my fame shall never die. My to assist never die, shall never die. If my return obtain success, much of my fame decays, but death shall linger his approach, and I live many days. This being revealed, 'twere foolish pride to abridge my life for praise. 'Twere foolish pride to abridge, then 'twere foolish pride. Being revealed, 'twere foolish pride. This being revealed, 'twere foolish pride to abridge my life for praise. Then with myself I will advise 'twere foolish pride. 'Twere foolish pride to abridge my life for praise. To abridge my life for praise. I will advise others to hoist their. Then with myself I will advise. Then with for praise. Then with praise. Then with myself I will advise others. Praise. Then with myself I will advise others to hoist their sail. For against the height of Iliad, for against the height of Iliad, others to hoist their sail. For against the height of Iliad you never shall prevail. Of Iliad you never shall prevail. Jove with his hand protecteth it, and against the height of Iliad you never shall. Against the height of Iliad you never shall prevail. Jove with his hand protecteth it, and makes the soldiers bold. This tell the kings in every part, for so grave legates should, that they may better counsels use. Legates should, that they may better counsels use to save their fleet and friends by their own valors, since this course, drowned in my anger, ends. Course drowned in my anger, ends. My anger ends. In my anger ends. Drowned in my anger ends. Phoenix may in my tent repose, and in the morn steer course for Phthia. In the morn steer course for Phthia, if he think it good. In the morn steer course for Phthia, if he course for Thia if he think it good. If he think it good. For Thia if he think it good. If not, I'll use no force. If not, all. If he think it good. If not, I'll use no force. If he think it good. If not, I'll use no force. All wondered at his stern reply, and Phoenix, full of tears, his words would be more. And Phoenix, full of fears, full of tears, full of fears, full of tears, Phoenix. If not, I'll use no force. All wondered at his stern reply, and Phoenix, full of fears, his words would be more weak than just, supplied their wants with tears. Burned, I return their wants with joy. If thy tears with tears, if thy return incline thee thus, if thy return with tears, and thou wilt let our ship, and thou wilt once with tears. If thy return incline thee thus, Peleus, renowned joy, and thou wilt let renowned joy, and thou wilt let our ships be burned with harmful fire of Troy, since thou art angry. O my son, how shall I after be alone in these extremes of death, relinquished by thee? I, whom thy royal father sent as orderer of thy force, when to Atrides from his court he left thee for his father sent as orderer of thy as orderer father sent as orderer of thy force, when to Atrides from his court he left thee for his course. He left thee for his course, yet he left thee for his course, yet for his course. Left thee for his course, yet young, and when in skill of arms thou didst not so abound, nor hadst the habit of discourse that makes men so renowned, in all which I was set by him to instruct thee as my son, that thou mightst speak when speech was fit, and do when deeds were done, not sit as dumb, not sit and do when deeds were done, not sit as dumb for want of words, idle for skill to move. I would not then be left by thee, dear son, begot in love. No, not if God would promise me, for want of words, idle for skill to move. I would not then be to move. Skill to move. I would not then be left by thee, dear son, begot in love. No, not if God would promise me to raise the Prince of Time carved in my bosom and my brows, and grace me with the prime of manly youth, as when at Helle's shore decked manly youth, as when at first I left sweet Helle's shore, decked with fair shore decks, and fled the grudge decked with fair sweet Helle's shore, decked with fair dames, and fled the grudge of my and for a fair-haired and fled fair dames, and fled the grudge my angry father bore, who was the fair Amintor called, surnamed Ormenides, and for a fair-haired surnamed Ormenides, and for a fair-haired harlot's sake, that his effects could please, contemned by my mother, who contemned by my mother, his true wife, who ceaseless urged me to use his harlot Clytia, and still would clasp my knee to do her will, that so my sire might turn his love to hate, of that lewd dame, love to hate of that his love to hate, love to hate, love to hate, turn his love to hate of that lewd dame, convert my sire might turn his love to hate of that lewd dame, converting it to comfort her estate, converting it to comfort her estate. At last I was content to prove to do my mother good, and reconcile my father's love, who straight suspicious stood, pursuing me with many a curse, and father's love, who straight suspicious stood, pursuing me with many a my father's love, who straight suspicious stood, pursuing me with many a curse, and to the Furies prayed, no dame might love, nor bring me seed. The deities obeyed. The deities obeyed that govern hell, infernal Jove and stern Persephone. Then durst I in no longer date with my stern father be. Yet did my friends and near allies enclose me with desires not to depart, killed sheep, boars, beeves, roast them at solemn fires, and from my father's tuns we drunk exceeding store of wine. 9 nights they guarded me by turns, their fires did ceaseless shine, one in the porch of his strong hall, and in the portal, but when day beneath portal one, before in the portal one, and in the portal one, before my chamber. But when day beneath the 10th night shone, I break my 10th night shone, I break my 10th night shone, I break 10th night beneath the 10th night beneath the 10th night shone. Beneath the 10th night shone, I break my chamber's thick-framed doors, and through the hall's guard passed, unseen of any man or maid. Though Greece then rich, through Greece then rich and vast, through Greece then and rich then man or maid. Through Greece then rich and vast I fled to Phthia, nurse of sheep, and came to Peleus' court, who entertained me heartily, and in as gracious sort as any sire his only son, born when his strength is spent, and blessed with great possessions to leave, gracious sort as any sire to his loved son, born when his strength as any sort as any gracious sort as any sire to his loved son, as any sire to his only, any sire sort as any sire to his only son, born when his strength is spent, and blessed with great possessions to leave to his descent. He made me rich, and to my charge did much commend. I dwelt in the utmost region, commend. I dwelt in the utmost region, rich Phthia doth, region rich Phthia, utmost region, in the utmost region, rich in the utmost region, rich Phthia doth extend, and govern the Dolopians, and made thee what thou art, and made thee Dolopians. And made and govern the Dolopians, and made thee what thou art. O thou that like the gods are framed, dearest to my heart, thou that like the gods are framed, since dearest to my heart I used thee so, thou lov'st none else, nor anywhere would sit, lov'st none else, thou lov'st none else, nor anywhere wouldst eat, till I had crowned my knee with thee, and carved thee tenderest meat, and given thee wine so much, for love that in thy infancy, which still discretion must protect, and a continual eye, my bosom lovingly, and a continual eye, my bosom, then, now, must protect, and a continual eye, my bosom lovingly sustained the wine thine could not bear. Much. Then, thine could not the wine thine could not bear. Now my strength needs, then now my strength, the wine thine could not bear. Then now my strength needs thine as much, be mine to thee as dear. Much have I suffered for thy love, much labored, wished much, thinking since I must have no heir, the gods' decree is such. Have no heir, the gods' decrees are such. I would adopt, have no heir, since I must have no heir, the gods' decrees are such. I would adopt thyself my heir. To me, to thee, my heir. To thee my heart did give, what any sire could give his son. In thee I hoped to live. His son, oh mitigate thy, I hoped to live. Oh mitigate thy mighty spirits, it fits not one that moves the heart of all to live, not one that moves the heart, one that moves the one that moves, not one that moves the, it fits not one that moves the hearts of all to live unmoved and succor hates, unmoved and succor. Unmoved and succor hates for loves. The gods themselves are flexible, whose virtues, honors, powers are more than thine. They will bend their breasts as we bend ours. than thine, yet thine. Ours are more than thine, yet they will bend their breasts as we bend ours. Perfumes benign and holy rites, the perfumes, benign devotions, savors of offerings burned, and holy rites, the engines are with which their hearts are. Holy rites, the engines are with which their hearts are turned. Holy rites, the engines are with which their hearts are turned by with which their hearts are turned by men that hearts are turned by their hearts are turned by men that pray to them, whose faith their sins have falsified. Their sins have falsified. Sins have falsified. For prayer sins have falsified. For prayers are daughters of great Jove, lame, wrinkled, ruddy-eyed, and ever-following injury, whose strong and sound of feet flies through the world afflicting men. And ever-following injury, whose injury and ever-following injury, whose strong and sound of feet flies through the world afflicting men, believing prayers yet to afflicting men. Afflicting men. Believing prayers yet afflicting men. Believing afflicting men. Believing prayers yet to all that love that seed of Jove, the certain blessing get to have Jove hear and help them too. Believing prayers yet to all that love that flies through the world afflicting men. Believing prayers yet to all that love that seed of Jove, the certain blessing get to have Jove hear and help them too. But if he shall refuse and stand inflexible to them, then they fly to Jove. Inflexible to them, they fly to Jove. Flexible to them, they fly to Jove and use their powers against him, that the wrongs he against him, that the wrongs he doth to them may fall on his own head, and pay those pains on his own head. Them may fall on his own head, and pay those pains whose cure he fails to call. Then great, and use their powers against him, that the wrong use their powers against him. Against him, that the wrong their powers against him, that the wrongs he doth to them may fall on his own head, and pay those pains whose cure he fails to call. Then, great Achilles, honor thou this sacred seed of Jove, and yield to them. Then, great Achilles, honor thou this Achilles, honor thou this sacred seed of Jove, since other men of great this sacred seed of honor thou this sacred seed of Jove, and yield to them. give the selfsame gift, since other minds they yield to them, since other men of greatest minds they move. If Agamemnon would not, Achilles, honor thou this sacred seed of Jove, and yield to sacred seed of Jove, and yield to them, since other men of great. If Agamemnon and yield to them, since other men of greatest minds they move. If Agamemnon would not give the selfsame gifts he vows, but offer other selfsame gifts he vows, would not give the selfsame gifts he vows, but offer other afterwards, and in his still bent brows entomb his honor and his word, I would not thus exhort, with wrath appeased thy aid, would not wrath appeased thy aid to Greece, though plagued in heaviest sort, but much he pressed, but much plagued in heaviest sort, but much, though plagued in heaviest sort, Greece, aid to Greece, though plagued in heaviest sort, but much he presently will give, and after yield the rest, to assure the rest, yield the rest, to assure which he hath sent to thee the men, yield the rest, to assure which he hath sent to thee the men thou lovest best, and most renowned of all the host, that they might soften thee, pains, and let not both of all the host, that they might soften thee, then let not both their pains and prayers be pains and prayer and pray. Pains and prayers lost, pains and prayers lost and despised be, before which none could before